Deepak Shenoy is also joining us. Deepak, first of all, how's the rain situation there? We hear that it's like the worst you've seen in a very long time. I hope everything's okay at your end.
It is where I think the news kind of highlights the probably some extreme areas, but where I live and work, there seems to be no issues at all. I was stuck, of course. I come from out of station yesterday, so I was stuck in traffic because of the rain. But then in Bangalore, not being stuck in traffic is news. So so I think just business as usual. I don't think it's the beginning of the real rains yet. So we might hear worse news going ahead. This was just the starter, I
In
think.
fact, Rudra's smiling. He's also from Bangalore. Deepak, how's the portfolio doing? Have you booked profit or just holding on to all the gains so far?
No, we've been fully invested. Honestly, we continue to be invested. I very difficult to buy right now because everything's running up so fast. But all the stocks we have, we're actually adding on to some of the positions as they are, considering they're much below where we think they will go to. Overall, strong moves right now. I think. I would like to say it's the GDP. It's probably more politics than it is economics right now. But hopefully we'll get to know tomorrow what the real situation will be. All the doubts or whatever will be cleared, and then we'll focus more on policy rather than politics.
Okay, point taken. So that's a view on the market. Hold that thought, Deepak. Let me take it across to Kunal as well. Kunal, what's your BTST trade right now? Would you recommend taking long positions for tomorrow as well and going home with that? And individual names, the likes of Reliance, SBI, what does one do at these levels?
Yeah, of course, take long positions. And the two stocks which are highlighted at current levels, one would be LIC India. I think that's a chart which is now starting to show signs of a multi-week, multi-month breakout over 1050 levels. So would suggest a buy with 1150 as a target, stop loss at 1000. And Ashok Leyland is something which has been doing exceptionally well. So would go long on Ashok Leyland. And I would look out for targets in the range of 250 over the very near term, stop loss at 230. And yeah, I think for the larger cap names, Reliance Industries, L&T as well as HDFC Bank, I think all three of them, they look attractive even at current levels. In fact, HDFC Bank would probably complete a major multi-week, multi-month breakout, closing for the first time, I think, above 1530 plus mark, and also confirming a breakout above 50-day moving average, 200-day moving average rather. So I think all three technical charts look very attractive on the large cap front.
Okay, those are some large cap ideas coming in from Kunal, and I think the clear messaging is continue going long on the market. But Deepak, looking at the screen today, some of the oil and gas names are holding up. Adani names have been doing well since Friday. I can see PFC, REC give a fresh move up. Where is it that you're feeling FOMO or felt like, you were underinvested? You should have bought more of it.
I mean, if I had cash, I'd probably buy more. We were almost fully invested, very little cash really, so can't complain. But of course, yeah, we have PFC and REC now momentum portfolios, which is not really fundamentally driven, but the prices themselves have gone up. I think 4x now, more than 4x in the last year and a half. LIC is one of our largest holdings. That's done reasonably well. I think I would in fact continue to add there. Regardless of where it is right now, I still think there's a long way ahead. I think oil and gas wise, we have some BPCL. Again, this was on the back of relatively, there's a bit of an inflection point change for some of the refining companies, especially in India. I think they will probably get more profits because oil prices have stabilized to some extent, and then refining margins will come back. But also because the government focus on trying to perhaps set these companies up again for disinvestment going forward. The bigger thing over here was, I think now we'll have to wait for the budget to see what happens. The government should have a full set, their coffers are full with the RBI dividend or surplus being 200,000 crores rather than 100,000. Hopefully they don't need to do some capital gains tax and spoil the party. But in general, I would say, positive on some of these companies where the valuations are much lower than their private peers like PFC and REC, and the fundamentals have increased or improved substantially.
Rudra, one pocket which is underperforming today is clearly pharma. All the sectors are in the green, but pharma is clearly on the back foot with the likes of Fortis, GSK Pharma, Marksans Pharma all being in the red, Jyoti Labs and the other names as well. What's the trade within pharma right now?
See, for me, yes, today it is only the high beta which is doing great and defensive like pharma, or even if you take larger stocks like HDFC Bank, these are all not stocks which are doing great compared to 8 to 10% kind of a rally what you are seeing in PSUs. But however, keeping in mind from now on the future, yes, pharma is one sector which can do good for long term. IT also can perform very well. So from pharma, my two top picks will be Sun Pharma at current level looks very, very strong. Somewhere at around 1400, 1430, one can definitely look at buying Sun Pharma. It is now consolidating for a long period, which is about 5-6 months. And then post this consolidation, yes, stock can go back to its all-time highs at around 1550, 1600 zone. And further from there, it can perform well. And the second pick for me from pharma will be Dr. Reddy. Even this stock looks very strong to me. So if you want to buy from pharma, yes, Dr. Reddy at current levels of around 5,800 looks very, very attractive. Strong supports are there at around 5,750 zone. Risk reward is favorable at current levels to enter these stocks. So for me from pharma, Dr. Reddy and Sun Pharma looks very strong. And if you want to pick from IT, I like Wipro as well as Tech Mahindra. So someone who wants to build a longer term portfolio at current levels, yes, look into pharma and look into IT.
Oh, that's a contra call coming in. I want to talk about a section of the market, Kunal, which is kind of a proxy to manufacturing, and that is the bearing companies. Schaeffler and Skipper, both of them, one is bearing is clearly manufacturing ancillary, the other is power ancillary. But both have shot up today. Is it backed on volumes, and can you tell us? So where does the chart tell you?
Yeah, I looked at Skipper's chart and on an intraday basis when it was up some 10% or so. I think today, so far it's up 11-12%. Both the charts are completely different. So I think Skipper, for example, is trading closer to the life high levels of 400. And I think the recent correction had got the stock back towards 300 odd mark. So it's come back to the 320, 330 mark, which is closer to the all-time high levels. And today's move, of course, is backed by decent volumes for these stocks, not as high as compared to the last 2 months where we'd seen the volumes jumping up hard. But then nevertheless, I think when you compare this with the last 4-5 days of the price action where there was a correction for these stocks, the volumes are far more better for these names. Schaeffler, on the other hand, I think would be interesting because that stock is still trading at, I think as a price adjusted value, it's still trading at a moderate kind of a zone for itself at 4,500. I would believe that the stock can still come back to the previous size of 4,800, 4,900 plus mark over the very near term.
In fact, those power ancillaries remind me of Polycab, because I think that was one stock, Deepak, you had booked out of. Did you find an alternative within the wires and cables segment, because that's been firing up? And the second thing I want to discuss with you is wind energy, because of late there have been a couple of initiations. After November today, Morgan Stanley initiated coverage on Suzlon and they had a target price close to $60. Are you looking at these two pockets, wires and cables and wind energy?
Wires and cables, we got out of Polycab because of whatever they had in the income tax raid that happened then. Of course, the stock is kind of doubled or so since then, but then no regrets because we got into other stocks that have done equally or better. But yes, I mean, that remains a space of attraction. I think, if I were to generate cash, they're part of my opportunity set to look at. Also, on some of the other spaces, I think the idea here is power in general is interesting. Wind, I mean, Suzlon has had its share of issues in the past, and I think that has kind of marred my view about it because it's always full of surprises. Something will come up which you didn't anticipate in the past. So I might give it some more time, wait for the annual report to see how things actually are, and then look at things. But we haven't looked at it for a really long time. More focused on the transmission space, in the transformer space. Companies in that seem to be relatively more attractive than the wind power generation space or even the solar generation space. So, I'd put that as second on the line for us. I'd rather look at the manufacturers of equipment for the transmission companies and so on in a bigger way right now.
Well, look at the Nifty Bank. It's already hit that 51,000 mark. SBI is now clocking gains of nearly 10% as we speak right now, pretty much around the session highs. On the futures, of course, is hitting a 9% gain mark. There's Axis, which is higher by nearly 5%. There's ICICI Bank up 3% right now in trade, and HDFC Bank as well. It's these four stocks. And well, let's not forget Kotak, because that's also giving you a gain of nearly about 2% right now. Deepak, you think one can still increase exposure to some of the private banking names and ex-ICICI Bank, because that, I guess, has already run a fair bit?
Honestly, I'm still with ICICI Bank. I think that's the strongest of the pack. HDFC and Kotak, while attractive on pricing, there is a set of fundamental issues, and we've owned some of these in the recent past, but kind of gotten out because we want to wait till some of the air settles. HDFC Bank has, we will probably look at the real numbers from it after the merger only in the June quarter, because after the June quarter, because July last year is when they actually merged. So there's still some issues with that, merger. I think we will see a lot of those issues crop up over the course of the next, maybe I think 1 or 2 quarters only left. Kotak has deeper issues. I think they'll have to solve for the regulatory impact of what has come. They can't open new accounts online. They can't use their app to proliferate. They've been using it quite meaningfully. So I'll hold off on those. But some of the private mid-sized banks, they might still be interesting, especially if the screws on the NBFCs are tightened as much as RBI seems to be doing. There might be some of a more movement towards the mid-cap banks, and those are kind of interesting from that perspective, especially if there are no major credit issues in many of them. Whether it's Federal or IDFC, we'll have to see how they respond. But I would be interested in that space rather than the HDFC and Kotaks. And for the large caps, we still have ICICI, so very biased. I think they will benefit the most, even if there is an NBFC issue.
Fair point, but the bank nifty right now is up 4.25% if I have it right. It's the biggest intraday gain that we have seen since February 2021. In fact, Ansh had helpfully pointed out this data for us. So let me take it across to him to get a gist of all the market mood right now. Ansh, tell us which are the big price volume buzzers. What exactly is the FNO snapshot telling you?
Right, so let's start with Ambuja Cement, as the stock seems to have given a good breakout from its reverse head and shoulder chart pattern, and the stock has also touched record high level with volume of around 3 times its average trading volume of last 30 sessions. Also, Godrej Property is in focus, as the stock has actually given a breakout from its cup and handle chart pattern, and even this stock has touched record high level with good volume of over 3 times its average volume of last 10 sessions. Power Finance is also in focus, as the stock was consolidating within a range of around 5 to 6 sessions, and today it has given a decisive breakout from that consolidation pattern, and even this stock has touched record high level with volume of over 2 times. Also, if you check the stock on a broader basis, then the stock is up around 25% in last 1 month. Lastly, GAIL will be in focus, as the stock has actually given a breakout from its reverse head and shoulder chart pattern, where it was stuck by more than a month, and it has also touched record high level with volume of over 4 times its average trading volume of last 20 session. So keep an eye on the stocks.
Right. All right. Thanks for that. Rudra, look at that 51,000 reading on the bank nifty. PSU banks, do you think may continue with the momentum in the medium term despite of 8-10% moves?
Definitely, as a short-term trader, I will not enter fresh here. You can definitely hold them if you have, but I will not make a fresh move either, expecting another this kind of a move and enter fresh in SBI or Canara Bank. But then if I have position, I will hold on. Still, SBI can reach that 4-digit mark of 1,000 rupee. And yes, Canara Bank, PNB, Bank of Baroda all look better. And in terms of private bank, I still see value in HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank at current level. So my choice will be SBI as the top pick from PSU Bank at current level. And if I have to buy from private bank, it will be HDFC Bank. But as a short-term trader, here I will not buy, because risk reward is definitely not favorable to enter here, because your stop losses will be way far down from current level if you want to enter here.
Okay, point taken. So these are the big bets coming in from the banking sector despite the kind of big up move that we have seen. But Kunal, what's the next checkpoint for the bank nifty then? 50 and 51,000 both have been achieved in a matter of 1 day and a few hours. What's next for the bank nifty?
So I think logically we should now be looking at 52,000 as the next bet for the bank nifty. That becomes the round strike, the next round strikes. Let's hope so. But I think looking at the speed, of course, we can expect that maybe over the next couple of days. But somewhere down the line, so if it happens tomorrow, then I think it could be a very good time to actually cash out on the bank nifty, at least over the very short term, and then look out for buying these stocks at least a 5% correction further.
So which is the strongest sector as per you in terms of chart? What looks the high conviction buy idea right now?
PSUs as a sector looks very attractive. Now, if you ask me about the other sectors other than PSUs, I would believe auto is the other pocket which is looking fairly attractive. Look at the likes of M&M, Maruti, I think Hero MotoCorp, etc. Bajaj Auto is up some 3.5% today. So I think many of these stocks have done exceptionally well. That's a pocket which looks attractive. Private sector banking names, I strongly believe, are making a very strong comeback for themselves. And I think this time around led by Axis Bank, which is the first private sector banking name, which has made a fresh high for itself, followed up by the other private sector banking names like HDFC Bank, ICICI, etc.
Among autos, you spoke about Leyland, right? Deepak, I want to talk to you about Leyland because out of the CV, out of all the auto numbers coming out this time, CV related names actually did best. And some of the brokerages now believe that H2 is when the CV cycle may revive meaningfully. Would you play names like Escorts, Kubota or even Leyland? Do you have anything in the CV side, or maybe a CV financier for that matter, like Chola?
So yeah, I think the financiers have run up quite a bit. So maybe from a valuation perspective, they're higher than perhaps the growth, even which is, if it is strong, would indicate. But yeah, the manufacturers, I think there is reasonable. I mean, there's even Tata has a reasonable size of CV. There is also Mahindra, but Mahindra has a bunch of other things as well. We own Mahindra. We don't own Ashok Leyland or Tata Motors. But I think the cycle needs to turn at some point. We're seeing a lot of activity. I mean, I was on the highways and, you're seeing enough trucks out there, but that's just anecdotal. I would say more important is when the logistics infrastructure continues and moves into the next phase of containerization for CVs, that will be an upgrade because the dedicated freight corridor will require containers to be transported. That part of the growth cycle hasn't yet started. I think that will be next, but that will probably start in 2025. In anticipation, we might want to take some of the positions here, but again, there's no clear winner. Leyland or Tata will benefit, no doubt, but I haven't taken a position yet. Probably still wait to see how things are. I haven't seen yesterday's CV's numbers, but it might be an interesting time to look at them. Maybe in the next rebalance, we might consider some of these players, but right now I have nothing. I have nothing other than Mahindra.
Okay. Deepak, great to have you on the show as always. We'll let you go on that note. Rudra, good to speak with you as well.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.